Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm David. So I got back home from university on Saturday evening and it's now Monday morning as I film this. I thought I'd just start by getting home and doing a quick update to show I'm home, to show you what the layout looks like. For those of you who haven't seen my old videos, feel free to check them out. They're all free on the channel, just go have a look. But also to show you what I'm going to do whilst I'm home. I did want to make a couple videos on the small layout whilst I was still at university, but unfortunately I got a bit sidetracked in my final week. I went on a few random day trips and things like that, and just had a nice relaxing week really. So I will still be making those videos. They might not be as related to the little layout as they would have been if I filmed solely at university. So for example the KD video, I will show you how I fit KD couplings and how useful they are and why I've converted all my stock. Some of that will take place on this layout and perhaps some will take place on the portable layout as well. The portable layout's not going away, I just don't have the budget that I was expecting for the summer, as I managed to spend quite a lot whilst I was away. Also on purchases, which you'll see going around the layout in a minute. So basically, yeah, I've got enough money to cruise through with this layout for a bit, and then when I get back to university, then we can focus on the portable layout again, for those of you who prefer that layout. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you the things that I've bought whilst I was away, and then my plans coming up. And I think there's a few odd jobs that I want to do today on the layout, which I might include in this video, just to show you guys what I'm up to today. Okay then, so the main purchase you guys haven't seen are the new mineral wagons I purchased on eBay. So you've seen the photograph I showed you in the last video I did. And so these are 8 mineral wagons that I purchased on eBay at a really bargain price of about £56 I think. So I'm just going to show you these as they go past. I think they're mostly Bachmann, I'm not quite sure. They were just sold unpackaged. So you can see at the front we've got 4 fitted mineral wagons, 16 tonnes with coal loads in BR bauxite. Then we've got another 4 grey ones, so they're unfitted. And then just at the back here we've got some of my mineral wagons that I already had, and a van and a brake van. The wagons themselves are really nice. They've all been modified to have coal loads. Not quite sure what it's made of, but it looks quite effective. They're also very weighty, so they've got really good running properties, as they're nice and heavy. Metal wheels, and also they were all fitted with KD couplings. Now I did have to glue up one KD coupling which had fallen off in the post, but the rest were perfectly fine. I'm really happy with that mineral train now. Okay then, so a few other bits that I didn't show you in the last video. This is the Land Rover, I think I mentioned it. I actually purchased this in Plymouth when I was at my girlfriend's. We took a day trip from Cornwall up to Plymouth to go shopping. I ended up posting this back in a big box of stuff that was too big to fit in my rucksack to go on the train, so that's why I didn't show you this in the last video. Got it back now through the post, and yeah, it's a nice, lovely Land Rover. I think it's a Mark II, yeah, Series 2 Land Rover, and that will be parked somewhere, probably on this layout. What I've also got, these are more recent purchases. So we've got some lovely scale model scenery flowers. So these are, they're going to go in flower beds, perhaps potted plants on the station platforms and things like that. And they'll probably last me quite a while if I use them in small patches. And then something else, which we'll get onto the full project in just a second, is this clock face. So it's from Scale Model Scenery again, in the same order, and it is etched brass with a sticky back, 3M, and it's just a nice little black and brass clock face in 00 scale. Okay, so I've come over to the works now, and you can see the reason for that clock face is I've started to make some bits and bobs to start progressing the works area. So it's been this foam and cardboard mock-up for a few months now, and I thought it was about time I actually started making everything properly. You can see then in the centre of your screen the reason for that clock face. is that I have been designing a clock face to match the one found at Coalbrookdale. You can now see it on top of the Museum of Iron, but it was just the main clock tower in the works. So what I did is I took a photograph from the internet, and actually several photographs, and I designed my version of it in Fusion 360 on the computer, and I have printed it in some separate parts that need further sanding and painting before they're glued together. So yeah, what I'm going to be doing is forming a clock tower to sit on top of this building here at the end of the works. This building will be extended, so it's slightly deeper to provide room for the clock tower to sit on the roof, and I think that should look really nice and be very reminiscent of the real Coalbrookdale works. If we look at the massive building that is the main works building here, you can see a few more things I've started 3D printing and dabbling in. These double doors I've been designing to match my original drawings, so you can see there where I've sketched on to the foam. We now have the 3D printed parts. Again, those need painting up and some extra detailed parts and things like that. At the moment they just have a nice little wood texture on them that looks like planking. Then here we have the first attempt at a window that's in the same style as those found in Coalbrookdale. Again, I looked at some photographs and drew up my own version. So this is going to go on every single window on the main brick building. We're going to have one of these. So we've got all of these here, and then some along there. So I've got a lot of these to print, and there'll also be some on the smaller building at the end. So loads of those to print and paint up. The works area as a whole is where I'm going to be focusing whilst I'm home. There will be scenery done in other places. For example, the brick terraced houses need to be built just around the corner, and we've got the station building that I was working on just before I left. But this area is the final area of bare baseboard that really needs some scenery kicking into gear. I was going to add an extra track here, coming off the side of the layout, just to sort of show where the rails could run into a larger works area. However, with the prices of track at the moment, and the fact I've got very little money, combined with the fact I think it looks good as it is, I will be leaving that off. So what I'm going to be doing is adding a smaller, possibly stone warehouse at the front of the scene here, just around where the green Tupperware lid is. And then instead of a track running off the side of the layout, I think I'll have a road, perhaps a gravel road with an inkling that there was once rails there, which I think might look quite nice. At the moment what I've been doing is working on some 3D printed parts to help make the corrugated metal for this large prefab building on the end here, which is going to be a sort of new addition to the works, built somewhere in the 50s or 60s, whereas the rest is more Victorian era. And there'll be much more coming on this in future videos, so I'll leave it at that for now. Okay then, so the layout as a whole has fared really well over the period I've been gone. Last time I left was over Christmas, and we did get some mould on the ballast over there. None of that this time. If you remember, just before I left, did a lot of work on insulating the garage, so that blue blanket has been over the double doors for the past couple of months. We've also got some nice insulation up in the rafters, where we go from wooden roof into what is actually a slate roof. As always, there were a few gremlins when I went to set the layout up. The mimic panel had fallen off the wall, that needed fixing. There was a random short on the 12-volt lighting bus. Turned out there was just two wires that were touching where I'd ripped something out last minute before I left. Also, the point decoder for the storage yard, I had actually borrowed that to set up the new portable layout, so I had to put that back as I didn't get round to buying another spare one. And then finally, there had been a few things that had been knocked over. We had a young visitor whilst I was away, and my parents showed them around the layout, and I think a few things might have been knocked over, so I've just superglued those back on. Okay then, so that's about it for the sort of general update, the purchases and what's coming up on the channel. So what I think I'll do is just keep filming a little bit for the rest of the day, pad this video out a bit, and also just show you some of the day-to-day chores that I'm going to be doing on the layout whilst I'm here. Okay then, you will have to excuse the mess, but the first sort of chore for today is going to be to put up this new light. So you can see we're over my workbench, which is just next to the storage yard here around the back. So what I want to do is fit this nice new LED light bar somewhere directly above the desk in the rafters, and that should provide both my work desk and the room as a whole with a lot more light. The light itself then is an 1800 lumens 2-foot LED bar, and I bought this at Trago Mills when I was down in Cornwall for a very, very good price. So good in fact, I ended up looking daft and carrying this home on my lap on the train because it wouldn't quite fit in my rucksack. But it was worth it because this is hopefully quite a bright light, and it was very, very cheap, much cheaper than I can find online. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start installing this, and I'll just quickly show you what I get up to. Okay, so the first thing we need to decide is how we're going to mount the light. So if we just look up at the rafters where I want it, I can't really screw it to the plywood that is the roof because it might leak. So what I've got is this plank of wood, which I've just cut to size, sanded down to make it look a bit nice, look a bit better than it did before. And what we're going to do is screw that between the rafters. We can mount the light on there. Okay, so I've got the light out. You can see it should fit on this plank nicely. It should look quite good. If we flip it over, you can see then there's two mounting brackets we need to screw to the bit of wood, and then some wiring here. So I think what I'm probably going to do is just put this on a chock block and probably insulation tape back, because I don't have a 13 amp junction box spare at the moment. So I'll just chock block that, probably temporarily, and then we can run it across and grab some power from the other lights that I've put up in here in the garage, and that should do just fine. Okay, so I'm going to get that mounted to the wood, get it wired and screwed up, and we can see what it looks like. Okay then, so that light's all wired up now, and it is quite nice actually. It's a slightly warmer white than I was expecting, but that's nothing bad. If I pan up, you'll be able to see the light fitting itself is on that plank of wood. Then unfortunately I've run out of grey flex, so I had to use some yellow flex that I had lying around. That's cable tied up, and it goes up there, and you can see it's just piggybacking off of the back of that light fitting there. Could probably do with some tidying up, but yeah, it'll do. Okay then, so I got that light done earlier on. That was quite a while ago now. I've had lunch, I've been fixing the lawnmower. The ride-on mower has been a bit broken since I've been gone. I've done a tiny bit more mowing, but it is a bit damp. So yeah, we've got a patch of sunlight now. I thought I'd come outside, and I will actually spray paint these tracks today. I wasn't going to do them so soon. I was going to hold off for a bit, but I want to use the rest of this can on the inside, on the big layout, in the works area. So I'm going to shake this really well, get started, and just quickly spray all these tracks. Then I'll know how much I've got left to use on the main layout. Okay, so now I've used the rattle can outside, I now know whatever I've got left I'm free to use in here. I don't like to use things that I've bought for other purposes, so I know that I've actually used it for the job I paid for it for. Okay, so we'll move the building out of the way, and now we can do the same thing in here. Okay then, so that's all done. Now it's definitely a case of do as I say and not as I do. You should really try and do this outside, and if you can't, use a respirator. I don't currently have a proper respirator, so what I'm just going to do is open the doors and windows wide open, and I'll leave this to air out for a little bit. Okay then, so what I did there, tidied up some of the rubbish and tools that were lying around, hoovered the floor. Then I went round the track just gently with a track rubber and then hoovered that up and hoovered some of the scenery where there was bits of dust or whatever on there. When I came round to the works, I don't think it's quite dry yet because it's kind of smearing instead of just brushing off nicely. So I shall leave that a bit longer and then attack it with the track rubber and the paint should come off the heads of the rails and we'll be able to run in there again. Okay, so I'm going to leave that video here for today. I'll either upload this late tonight, so Monday night, or Tuesday morning, and then you'll see this. Then the next video, we're going to start cracking on with the works. I've just ordered a load of plasticard and sort of things I need for the works, so yeah, that should be coming up really soon. And I'm going to do that step by step, showing you what I get up to and how I make it. Okay then, so that's all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.